Ubisoft is getting sold for spare parts next year, and Bioware, well, you know what's gonna happen to Bioware. Dragon Age the Veilguard was their last hope, their last chance at bringing it back. After the failure of Andromeda, there's not much left.
Don't say I didn't warn you guys when I said BioWare is screwed and most likely going down in flames. We have our first official major loss at the studio
This guy's blacker than the night. Damn, boy.
in Sylvia Fekidakudi, a senior writer with the company for nearly 15 years, has officially announced her departure and doesn't have a plan on what to do next, which should
Rip Bozo.
tell you all you need to know about what's going on at BioWare right now. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT, and a massive loss for BioWare, a studio that is undergoing quite a bit of scrutiny and seems to be on a disastrous path towards destruction. And this is hot off the heels of me covering insiders who work at BioWare reaching out to me saying that internally, there are talks right now of layoffs and massive concerns that they may not have their jobs come the new year or shortly after that. That's how bad it is there right now. So I think it's safe to say that Dragon Age the Veilguard underperformed quite a bit. Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out SmashJT.com for the full article breaking down how one of the lead writers of 15 years, Sylvia Fekidakudi, is leaving without anywhere to go. They're just up and saying, yeah, my time has come here. This isn't the place that it used to be. And yet another blow to the once magnificent and now very struggling ship called BioWare. Sylvia Fekidakudi, a senior writer of the company for 15 years, has officially announced her departure. This comes hot off the heels of the disastrous launch of Dragon Age the Veilguard, currently rumored from insiders contacting me, telling me that it has sold under 1.5 million copies in over 2 months of launch time.
We expected all of this. Again, I predicted, because this is what we do. We predict these things because financial analysis and all of that good stuff, that breaching the 1.5 million mark is gonna be extremely difficult for this game. Extremely difficult. Breaching the 1 million mark was already difficult. And by the way, how did they even breach that? Discounts on Steam, free character creator to entice the masses to come back, giving away the game for free with codes in some situations, and other things like that. This is no longer about selling the game, because these game copies don't matter. BioWare is just at this point doing one of the most blatant things possible. They're just trying to get sales numbers. It doesn't matter that most likely if they sell 1.5 million copies, that from that amount, only 1 million of those copies will have actually generated revenue for them. They just want a number so they can say that, hey, this is not a disaster. But looking back at the sales history for other BioWare titles, for other Dragon Age games in particular, anything under 5 million is effectively a complete disaster and failure that is going to burn down the company. And well, here we are. All the talks of woke, because Dragon Age Railguard is absolutely a woke travesty against humanity. Like, goddamn, they just wanted to challenge God's design real hard there, and they failed, obviously. And now these same people, effectively, are most likely all working already at Mass Effect 5. And who is gonna get fired after the disaster at BioWare with Dragon Age Railgun? The people who made the disaster in the first place. The people who made the game garbage. Those are gonna be the ones that are most likely fired. AKA, their senior staff is not gonna get touched, and, their leadership positions are not gonna be touched. And when you are in a situation as BioWare is, all of this stuff, all of the culture in the company, is from the top, which means no amount of layoffs can guarantee the success of the next game. Because when they lay them off and they get the new people in, they're going to be of the same ideologies, of the same wants, of the same needs, of the same desires. And sadly, none of these desires are even close to making a good game. And so BioWare is completely cooked. Which, by the way, as always, boys, we called. Because you can't fail Andromeda. And I always forget to mention Anthem, by the way, which is also a BioWare disaster. You cannot be a AAA game that fails 2 flagship titles in a row and does some minor shit that actually fails also, and survive. Now, granted, layoffs always happen if a game fails. Layoffs even happen if a game succeeds, by the way, and typically these companies, that's just how it works. But in this case, layoffs are happening because of extreme failure, and it's not going to get better. The layoffs are happening effectively because they want to show in the business analytics that they have an actual real money flow, that they are not down under that bad. That is why layoffs are happening. They're going to show that they have actually, they're effectively above water. But this is obviously a complete fugazi. Because the reality is, to make another AAA game, they will have to pretty much hire back all the people that they let go, most likely. Or at least half of them. Which will then again put the company underwater in their financial positions. Which is, if you haven't figured out, a pretty devastating, deadly loop that cannot be solved if you do not make something that's a massive hit. So BioWare has absolutely no chance of stabilizing, no chance of being successful, and it's also most likely going to be sold off as spare parts. And if we're lucky, Sony's gonna acquire them. Wait, does Sony already own BioWare? Not sure. But if it doesn't, please Sony, do it, because it's hilarious, because everything Sony touches turns to shit real fast. So, 10 out of 10.
Out of the expected 10 million sales in the first 3 months, I think it's pretty safe to say they're not getting anywhere close to that. Sylvia took to Blue Sky to let everyone know that she isn't going to be long for this company anymore. Hey everyone, sorry I've been quiet on here.
Blue Sky
Was busy with a big decision, namely deciding to leave BioWare. I'll really miss working with everyone there, but after 15 years, it just feels like a good time for a break. If/when I've got something noteworthy lined up, I'll mention it here. So this should tell everybody exactly what they need to know about the current direction of BioWare and the
One of the insane things is, I think Sylvia is the main writer for Uncharted. I think one of her biggest claims to fame was Uncharted. I could be mistaken. If I am, timestamp and leave it in the comments so people know I'm mistaken. But I think Sylvia was the writer for Uncharted.
Employees' mindsets working there. Dragon Age of Veilguard was such an epic failure that one of the writers that's been there for over a decade, we're talking a decade and a half, after Veilguard launched and fell flat on its face, they're like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna start walking out the door because it's not going to be pretty here. Then you pair that with saying that they don't have anything lined up, but they'll be sure to let you guys know when they do find something, tells you that they're jumping ship because they'd rather not work than deal with whatever the hell's going on at BioWare internally right now. That's a big yikes. She later added, I'll go back to answering your questions/comments, thank you for them, before shutting the account down. It'll still just be slow, because I've left BioWare, there's like
why the hell does she need to shut down her Blue Sky social account? The fuck? I left BioWare. Well, guess I'm deleting Blue Sky. What?
A few things I can't answer now just because I can't look them up with certainty anymore. But a lot of questions I saw are fine. So this strikes me as a very kind person that just wants the games to be talked about. Someone very passionate about what they put their work into.
This is a dead giveaway that she was on the firing board. Well, not on the firing board, but she was fired. There's likely a few things I can't answer now because I can't look them up with certainty anymore. When you are about to get fired and you work in a company that has computers, rare, shocking, I know. your access gets denied. Okay? Because, that's just the safe thing to honestly do. It doesn't matter if you were 15 years, 5 minutes, or whatever, your accesses are denied. Because, well, what if you're now trying to steal industrial secrets and shit? It's a legit thing, by the way. That happens. That's not a James Bond movie plot or anything. So the fact that she cannot answer some questions because she can't look them up anymore means that her access has been terminated. Which means that most likely happened a long time ago, at least a week or two, and she was on the firing block and she knew it. So she just left because what's the point of waiting if you know you're gonna get fired? Okay, this is really telling.
Fine. So this strikes me as a very kind person that just wants the games to be talked about. Someone very passionate about what they put their work into. This is someone that started at Bioware during Mass Effect 2. Somebody that has a talent for story writing, and the entire tenure they've been there, they've seen Bioware's ship sink. The fact that Fekete is leaving without a plan or any kind of future prospects is extremely telling. She began her career at Bioware with Mass Effect 2 in 2010 and contributed to several high-profile titles while she was there, including Mass Effect 3, Dragon Age Inquisition, and Anthem, before returning to Dragon Age series for Veilguard. Her decision to leave the company comes amid increasing speculation that the game's underperformance could spell even further trouble for Bioware, as multiple insiders have contacted me directly with heavy layoffs potentially incoming very soon at Bioware. And hearing this tells me that this person doesn't want to be around to see it all go down. The Veilguard has been widely criticized for failing to meet both player and industry expectations. Despite glowing reviews from a very heavily curated group of quote-unquote professional reviewers, the game only saw a peak
IGN 9 out of 10 masterpiece.
Concurrent player count of 89,418 players on Steam, and that has since plummeted to a meager 11,279 in the past 24 hours. That is about a 90% drop in player count in less than 2 months after launch. It's not very sustainable for a company looking to sell a game for the long term. Despite the alarming decline that we could all see from far away, the game director Corinne Bush, the man that's clearly displaying some serious mental health concerns while identifying and dressing up as a woman when they go into work, sidestepped questions about the game's sales performance. When Eurogamer asked him about the commercial response of sales, Bush said, "Unfortunately, on the sales side, that's not something we can really discuss, but of course, as we know with Inquisition, that was a long burn to get those total sales numbers." Which I guess you could say is true, but at the same
time, it's 100%, well, 150% cope, obviously. JT, listen, my sweet Mexican prince, or Italian, who honestly knows? What's the difference between them anyway? Is it the eyebrows? Probably the eyebrows. Whenever a company refuses to talk about numbers, the numbers are bad. That's just how it is. Okay? You learn this pretty much like week one when working in a big company, and, well, you're not a coder, you're someone in finance or whatever. Numbers bad? We don't talk about it. Numbers good? We shove it up everyone's face. It's that simple. The game never changes. There are literally no exceptions to this rule, by the way. The exceptions don't exist. They don't. Doesn't matter if you're selling video games, doesn't matter if you're selling bread or pickled eggs. The same rule applies always, throughout everything. It's a universal law of physics, effectively, at this point.
Time, Inquisition was a very different story, because people actually like that game, as opposed to the Veilguard, or overwhelmingly because of the inserted messaging and trans ideologies among a slew of other very questionable design choices. Players are rejecting this wholeheartedly, saying, "No, I'd rather play other games. That's not for me." As I reported previously, an insider revealed that the internal expectations for the Veilguard were quite ambitious, to say the least, with a rumored target of 10 million copies sold within the first 3 months by parent company EA. However, the game has only managed to sell under 1
That is the first time I hear that. Interesting. Last time I think we heard from JT was 3 million overall over the lifetime, but I said that I don't believe that number. Again, it's really easy for me to say when a number looks sus or a number looks legit, because 3 million doesn't make sense. 3 million is not even that 3 billion is most likely 2 million under the break-even point. All the marketing, how they did the last Dragon Age, new players welcome, the old ones are gonna be happy. Yeah, a target estimate of 3 million did not seem realistic. That's like admitting defeat and you just burnt money and everyone was supposed to know it. So, most likely a target in the reaches of 7 to 8, maybe 9, maybe maximum 10 million would have actually been realistic for this. Over a period of, I don't know, like 40 years. And the initial sales should be around, 5 to 6 million. But that did not happen, obviously. Those were most likely their targets. Anyone who believed the 3 million, no dice. No dice.
1.5 million copies so far, according to this insider, and now is only expected to potentially cross 3 million sales lifetime, which would be falling drastically short of any kind of initial projection.
Now see, there's the kicker. Now new projections lifetime. And yes, 3 million does sound legit. 3 million is what I would estimate in 10 years. Well, honestly, I would like estimate more to close to 2.5. But, when you're an analyst and you're in these positions, fucking lie. You're not gonna be around when when your lies are supposed to come to fruition. Just lie. You're an analyst. Listen, I have said this a lot, but being a good analyst, business analyst, is not about understanding numbers. Well, it is about that, but that's roughly like 30% of the game. 70% of the game is just being friendly with people and knowing how to convince people that you are right, because no one understands shit when it comes to numbers. And if you can pull that off, congratulations. You are a high tier analyst, because that's all that there is. Listen, I'll tell you this right now. Most kids coming out of university that has a business focus, not probably, 100% most likely no, more formulas, more techno babble shit than me, and yet none of those losers would be able ever be able to touch me in a corporate setting, because one, I make people like me. I'm really good at that. Two, I know how to convince people that what I say is true. Three, I know what numbers mean, and well, knowing what numbers mean is way more important of a skill when you're an analyst than understanding how to make those numbers. Because if you don't know and can't explain how these numbers work, or can't understand how they're gonna look in the future, your ability to make a number doesn't matter for shit. There you go. Pro tip for life.
From EA. We're talking over 7 million short sales. That's not a great look. In light of the Veilguard's underwhelming performance, rumors of impending layoffs have begun to circulate. As I reported previously, the insider that recently contacted me revealed that the mood within Bioware is extremely grim. They stated, "There's rumors around the office that layoffs are on the horizon." The failure of Veilguard has prompted deep introspection within the company, as leadership has been scrambling to identify and address the root causes. It's pretty obvious to anyone with half a brain to figure out why Veilguard has sputtered, but the closer you get to the center, like I've said before, apparently the more blurry it becomes for the people actually working there. The ones making these big decisions, thinking that this is what the public gamers actually want to play, when in reality, it's idiots. Anything but. Bioware struggles with the Veilguard are emblematic of broader issues plaguing the company, from misaligned leadership to a gigantic disconnect with their previous...
Real talk? Someone at the top is probably fucking this thing, okay? Real talk over. Good luck sleeping.
established core audience, the studio of Bioware has repeatedly stumbled. Many fans of the series and big time YouTube personalities like Endymion and Hypnotic have criticized the prioritization of identity politics over engaging storytelling and meaningful gameplay. And it doesn't just stop with YouTubers saying this. It's the gamers themselves, even if they don't have a voice on a platform. They are taking to comment sections and message boards and just saying, hey, this isn't what I signed up for. I don't want ideologies injected into my fantasy role-playing games.
It never is. It really never is. They're making a game for themselves, not the people, and well, that's never going to work out. Anyway, that was Smash JT. 10 out of 10. Have a nice day. Bye!